Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for 8 tips on how to get ready for the upturn. My name is Victoria Johnson, and I'm the Customer Marketing Manager here at Upkeep. Before we get started, I'd like to get some housekeeping out of the way. We are recording this session, and you'll receive a link to that recording within the next few days, so feel free to share that with those that missed today's presentation. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box found on the right-hand side of your screen. Since the COVID-19 crisis began, we've been reaching out to maintenance experts far and wide to ask their advice on how to get ready for the recovery. Today, we'll learn tips and tricks from those experts and also provide you with resources associated with those tips. We'll email you all those valuable resources after today's webinar, so when the upturn comes, you'll be ready. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers. Miji Joe is our Manager of Customer Success. Miji joined Upkeep in 2018 as the team's first Customer Success Manager. Today, she works with our team of Implementation Managers and Customer Success Managers to deliver value to our clients every day and to ensure that they are achieving their desired business outcomes. Joe Schmidt is our Vice President of Customer Success for Upkeep. After a long career in customer success, he joined Upkeep in 2017 to help build our amazing customer success team. Today, our customer success team provides guidance and resources to more than 3,000 Upkeep customers, helping them achieve their maintenance goals and revolutionize their business through maintenance. It is my pleasure to introduce Joe Schmidt. Joe?
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. Well, everyone, we have a lot of good stuff to go over today, so I'm going to jump right in. So first things first, during these difficult times, our #1 focus should be safety. And as Victoria touched on, we connected with a lot of individuals in the space to get their insights and what they're doing. And we spoke to Rob from Rob's Reliability. And he's essentially a reliability engineer and asset manager specialist at Enbridge. And the one thing that he said is, to remain productive, you got to remain diligent and focus on safety, sanitation, best practices. And we couldn't agree more. But why is safety so important? So according to a recent article from the EHS Today titled "Why Safety is More Important Than Ever in an Economic Downturn," they provided a few highlights. Highlight #1, it's easy to retain people if employees see that the company is committed to safety. The second highlight that they provided is to form a basis of respectful relationships across the company, from the front line to supervisors to managers, and also to manage the environment of a union space as well. And #3, an employee who believes an organization cares for them is more likely to have a sense of ownership in their work, be more adaptable to changes to schedules, work assignments, or restructuring, but also to just bringing the best value to work to help make sure that they're focusing on their customers and their actual jobs themselves. Now, to help everyone out, we're going to provide some guidance on achieving your safety goals with Upkeep's business checklist on safety during COVID-19. This includes sanitation best practices, and we'll send this over after the webinar. But on this checklist, we include tips such as hand washing, non-contact food delivery, cleaning checklists for manufacturing, employee health checklists, and more. With that one done, we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Miji to walk us through our next section.
All right. Thanks, Joe. So the second piece of advice that we got from some of these experts was to always maintain your PM schedule. And according to Florian Ferrier, in this industrial maintenance innovator, he said it might be a good time to audit and update preventative maintenance tasks information and also document them, since it is, for me, the biggest actual problem in maintenance, which is very, very interesting. And also Doug S., Maintenance and Reliability Manager at Tiger Calcium Service Incorporated, said, "Do not defer your maintenance. Now is the time to ensure that you are reliable and ready when the storm passes, and it will." And Florian and Doug are not alone on this. According to an independent study performed by Whitestone Research in 2013, Preventative Maintenance Program Comparative Analysis for Criminal Justice Facilities, providing preventative maintenance compared to not doing it saves more than $13 per square foot in maintenance costs over a 10-year period. So if we do the math, savings increased to more than $25 per square foot over 20 years, right? And on average, a 100,000 square foot jail or prison can save $2.5 million per year over 20 years just by spending $2.84 per square foot per year. It's about $284,000 maintenance. So as we approach this upturn and prepare for a recovering economy, now's actually the best time to create the right preventative maintenance program to realize your long-term return on investment. And so to help you guys with an additional resource, we're going to be providing 7 tips for a better maintenance program, which include the following suggestions. First one, focus on PM tasks for a specific failure code. Really narrow your focus. And second, apply skills where they're actually needed and create efficient routes for tackling those skills and those tasks. And lastly, inspect frequently and on a routine basis. And there's a lot more that they dive into, but you'll have to read the entire article for additional information. And now with that, I'm going to hand it back over to you, Joe.
Awesome. Thanks, Miji. So next, we're going to go over tackling that backlog. So this was a really popular one from our customers, and we had a lot of great insights on tips on how they're approaching their backlog and also this downtime. Trevor H., an equipment manager from CASS, said, get all of your equipment pressure washed and clean. Have the maintenance teams perform in-depth stress crack searches, fluid leaking, and performance evaluations, and then create a utilization plan against this. Trevor's team started this the other day, and they started at 6 a.m. and within a few hours found a few faults and issues throughout their fleet of equipment. Next, we talked to Jay, a CMRP service manager at Conair Group, and he said this to us. Complete those pesky backlog PMs. Getting the operation teams involved gets more items completed and also provides training opportunities as well. And last, we connected with Gregory, a CMRP maintenance and reliability engineer consultant, and he suggested take care of the problems that you've become so used to overlooking, knock out the backlog, analyze the chronic failures and that you've put on the back burner, and take this as an opportunity to optimize your PMs. So how should we organize tackling our backlog? According to an article from Reliability Plant titled Why Backlogs Are Important for Effective Maintenance, combining all approved work orders into a single backlog can become overwhelming. Instead, we should filter with a consistent segment, and here are some filters that we can use to manage our backlog. The first filter is shutdown work versus non-shutdown work. Shutdown work requires us to pause operation and is work that stays in our backlog until that actual shutdown is scheduled, which we know that can take some time. So leaving inactive work in a backlog complicates managing an ongoing non-shutdown work. So it's good to hide these until you're actually prepared to manage that shutdown work. Of course, preparation for work for shutdown is very important and should be prioritized along with other non-shutdown work. Separating shutdown and non-shutdown work is also necessary for an effective shutdown planning schedule. The next filter is mechanical and electrical work. So grouping your backlog by teams or specialties, for example, mechanical or electrical, is a powerful way to provide an effective delegation of tasks. This also would include work for all other categories of maintenance. One thing to remember, the backlog for a maintenance crew should be limited to the work that actually applies to that crew. If there is cross-collaboration efforts, we should reference and or include those other team members on the specific work orders. And third, preventative maintenance versus corrective maintenance work orders. Preventative maintenance work orders should be pre-planned and pre-scheduled. Any instructions on inspections or other routines should be in your CMMS and included on the actual preventative maintenance work order themselves. It should automatically be scheduled by your CMMS to help keep you in compliance and on track. Typically, PMs and corrective maintenance require the same resources and need to be scheduled together. But for the purpose of managing our backlog, they can be separated. Backlogs are easily managed if the PM works are filtered out until the time that they're actually scheduled. So for additional resources, we found a great guide from a facility executive on how to tackle deferred maintenance and avoid costly downtime. We think you will find this very helpful, and we'll share this in our follow-up. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Miji once again.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. So on to our 4th tip of the day, and that is how to get ready for the upturn, is education and training. So when we asked Bob Amaker, sales engineer at IJ White, he said, training, training, training. He's a man of few words, and he's definitely right. So Training Zone published this great article called Reasons to Invest in Training During Downturn. And they do a great job of outlining the why. So let's start at the top. First, get it right the first time. It's well known that if you reduce costs when you deliver your products or services right the first time, every time. Training your staff to understand this, and importantly, to do it, lowers your overall costs and improves the experience you deliver to your customers, and that in turn creates revenue. Keep your employee satisfaction high. Employee satisfaction directly relates to customer satisfaction, and so does sales. So when bonus payments and pay raises are not in the budget, then training becomes a personal investment you can make in every employee's future. Also, train your managers. Many of them may not have had to manage in tough times like these days before. So investing in management development training builds the skills that they need to manage your people through challenging times, and also in the long run helps reduce the loss of the best talent from your organization. Focus on your customer experience, right? We're all about customer experience here at Upkeep. And I think we all know that retaining loyal customers is much cheaper than finding new ones. Most of the experience that your customers have is going to be driven by your people. So customer experience training can create competitive differentiation and also be the deciding factor when customers make critical purchasing decisions. Spend less and get more. So when training budgets are being reduced, the best suppliers may be the smaller, innovative companies with great ideas and lower overheads, right? They're the ones who understand the needs to keep budgets tight. They can deliver great value and help build for the future. These guys don't necessarily bid the highest price, but they also don't charge you to cover the costs of their own headquarter buildings. And they also give you a lot of value for your money with a lower cost per head and a better return on investment. Be ready for the upturn. So while the virus news may be tough today, we know that we're going to overcome this as a country, and the most successful people and companies will be ready to take advantage of the upturn as soon as it arrives. So retaining and enhancing skills now will mean you're the first to the new opportunities when they come, rather than scrambling around and trying to hire and retain the talent that you've lost. So as a resource to help you get you and your employees trained, Upkeep has compiled a list of free learning resources for maintenance workers in self-quarantine. This is going to help you stay current and keep busy. Joe, number 5 is all you.
All right, awesome, E.G. Next up, we're going to take a look at updating our documentation. So Bruce S., an operation manager at United International Group, told us this: now is the perfect time to update or write your first draft of your standard operation process, emergency operation process, and preventative maintenance instructions. So what we want to do is go over what a good SOP or standard operation format looks like. An SOP document is used in a business or industry to give a consistent and set of information and directions to an employee during a particular job. These are very helpful for teams of all sizes because they essentially ensure that the right work is being done regardless of what individual actually performs that job. So what are some of the things that a good SOP includes? Well, this includes an overview of safety hazards associated to that job. Also will include a description of what needs to be prepared in order for the technicians or maintenance teams to perform the job. This will also include directions on performing the job that are very clear, concise, and can be understood by any trained employee, even if they've never actually performed that task before. Next is guidelines on following up after completing the job. So what information do we need to give them to return operations back to the original standards? What are details that need to be reported or actually recorded? And last, a list of potential issues or problems that could occur and normal troubleshooting steps and solutions that could apply. So as a resource, we're going to provide you with a great guide that we've found called the recommended method of documenting preventative maintenance, which should help you greatly improve your documentation project. And Miji, once again, back to you.
All right. Our 6th tip is going to be how to set goals for the future. So Jocko Willenick, a retired Navy SEAL, I think he said it best. Don't expect to be motivated every day to get out there and make things happen, because you won't be. Don't count on motivation, count on discipline. Setting goals and sticking to them requires an enormous amount of discipline, as we probably all know. And right now is the perfect time to get into the discipline habit of creating and sticking to your new goals. So H.B. MacArthur, he writes about navigating the unspoken rules in today's workplace, and she actually recently wrote how to set goals that actually work and gives us 6 easy steps to achieve those goals. So step 1, identify the 3 core areas you're actually responsible for. Now, these should be expansive enough that anything you do throughout the given day can fall under one or more of these areas. And keeping your core areas broad also gives you more flexibility, right? So instead of your goals being tied to things like projects or people, they're going to be tied to the 3 things that you get actually paid to provide, regardless of any changes that actually take place within the business. Step 2, imagine what success actually looks like in these 3 core areas a year from now. A lot of people, they'll build a plan by focusing on putting out the biggest fire that's in front of them, right? But the downfall of that is it sets us up to be reactive and not proactive. Instead, what you want to do is build your plan with an eye toward creating positive outcomes in the future and not just preventing bad things from happening today. Step 3, assess your current reality. So that starts with asking yourself, what is the current level of my skills, the organization's readiness for change, and the available support and resources? This is when you decide what is a priority and what isn't. Because too often we pick priorities based on timetables. What's that next thing that's due? And we base it based on the proximity of what's important, right? Maybe it's based on an important person. Well, if my VP thinks it's important, then yeah, it must be. You never really want to choose a priority based on a deadline because the deadline should be in service of the priority, not the other way around. Why? Well, deadlines are made up by people and they only matter if they somehow help you create success in the future for your organization, right? Step 4, determine the key actions you actually need to achieve your results. Now, a word of caution here, don't turn this step into a detailed project plan. Your key actions simply just need to constitute a reference guide or a map of where you want to drive your performance throughout the year. It is most helpful to provide some context for how you're going to be busy throughout the next 12 months. So your key actions should consist of tangible activities that you can actually see. They can include how you'll use key projects, processes, or responsibilities to accomplish your goals. And always remember, you're not getting paid for how busy you are, you're getting paid for results. Step 5, assign an appropriate time frame. When are you going to be taking those key actions, and when do you expect to see some or all of the results that you're looking for? So your time frame can be a combination of deadlines, frequencies, and milestones. Step number 6, write 3 to 5 goals that will guide your performance throughout the year. And when you're writing these goals, use this formula. Context plus action plus time frame equals results. So write a little bit about your current situation. Think about the current challenges or opportunities that you're going to tackle. That gives you your context. And then after that, list 1 or 2 core actions that you're going to take to solve for the context. That's going to allow you to come up with your action. And after that, add some dates that you're looking to take on those actions. That's going to give you your time frame that you need. And then lastly, clarify on the actual results that would equal success. And that's how you're going to identify your results. So hopefully that framework helps. If you need additional resources, we're going to provide you with 10 steps to setting and achieving goals at work, which you guys can check out after this session. All right, Joe, you're up. Oh, Joe, we can't hear you.
All right, sorry about that. I was muted. Well, thanks again, Miji. So next, what we're going to take a look at is focusing on morale building activities. So last week, our founder and CEO, Ryan Chin, shared a great, insightful message. He said, during this crisis, keeping the team motivated, focused, and most of all, safe was our first priority. We could, in turn, continue to provide value to our customers. And we couldn't agree anymore. A happy and healthy team is the main driver of any organization's success. Forbes recently wrote an article titled 3 Ways to Keep Employee Morale Up During the COVID-19 Outbreak. And here's some great insights from this article. First, be intentional about your communication. It's critical that leaders do not get sucked into the panic because employees look to their leaders as models of their behavior, especially during times of crisis. Therefore, it's important to remain calm and manage emotions. And employers should keep employees and contractors updated on the current situation and invite them engaging in discussion. To help prevent misleading information or rumors or gossips, the company should only refer to credible sources like CDC and the WHO. Next, a relaxed policy on adjusted guidelines. Daycares and schools are closing, threatening and disrupting everyone's daily life, especially ones that have families. Employees should be empathetic and understanding and flexible with their workers to try to help navigate through these unexpected changes in life. And the last thing an employee needs is their employee being rigid on employees taking care of their families or until they find another solution. And finally, migrate, risk, and educate. The CEO of KissFlow decided to bring in a doctor who's also a member of the disease and infection control team from a reputable hospital. The doctor provided the employees real facts about COVID-19 and helped them tell the difference between real news and myths around the virus. The CEO said this removed any misconceptions around the virus, and employees felt less paranoid as they were equipped with what they needed to keep themselves safe. Last week, we hosted How to Keep Your Team Motivated During Uncertain Times. And it's filled with resources around keeping your team morale up and in turn, keeping your customers happy. We'll provide a link to that webinar in our follow-up email as well for everyone to view. And with that, Miji, go ahead and bring it home.
All right. Thanks, Joe. So last but definitely not least, stay positive, guys, right? So we're going to end today's presentation with a positive quote, literally. This one's from Ralph Marston. Being positive in a negative situation isn't naive, it's leadership. And that actually brings me to this. So this past week, we were all in a meeting the other day, and one of our team members asked us to talk about something positive that's come from the current COVID-19 lockdown. So I'll share some of my positives that I gave to the team. And one of them is, for me, I used to have to commute an hour to work, an hour back, sit in traffic. We live in LA, so some of you knows what that feels like. I don't have to commute anymore and spend that time in the car. And as a result of that, I've been able to focus on some things that I've been wanting to tackle for my own personal and mental health for a really long time. For example, now in the morning when I get up, before I log onto my computer, I can now meditate and actually just focus on being at peace and spend some time with myself, which is something I've been wanting to do for so long. So it's really refreshing to be finally able to have the time to do that. And then also in the times that I've been able to go outside and just go for a brief walk, in LA, it smells significantly better. I can actually smell the roses, the air is clean just from the lack of fumes of cars and things like that. I can hear the birds chirping. So these little things actually bring a lot of joy and cheer into the world and, good things to focus on while we're waiting for the upturn. All right, Joe, back to you.
All right. So to share some of my positives from what's going on is, I think the first one is very similar to Miji. I no longer have a commute, but with that, I've been able to utilize that time to connect with, my sister, friends that I may not have talked to as well. And I think also any takeaways from this is, we are almost all forced to kind of slow down in life, right? So it allows us to essentially reposition and tackle those things in our personal lives that we may have put to the side because we were actually working a lot more, right? So those are some of the, I would say the benefits that have essentially come from what's going on today. Victoria, what about you? What are some of the positives that you think that you've come across? Oh, we had another mute.
I had a mute problem, sorry. What I'm saying is, same with you, group chats with relatives and friends have been fantastic. Discovered my lacrosse ball during Zoom meetings. I'm constantly rubbing knots out of myself. So that's been really helpful. I've had time to do that. And then also hanging with my hubby. He works quite a bit. So we've been able to really spend a lot more time together now that we're both working from home. So that's mine.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Victoria. And so we'll wrap things up by sharing one last resource with you guys, and that is from lifehack.org. They listed out 15 ways to stay positive at work, and it's a really, really good read, I promise. So give it a look through. And with that, that wraps up our presentation for today. So I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who joined us and took time out of their day to watch this webinar. It looks like we have a few minutes for some Q&A. So Victoria, do we have any questions that we can answer?
We do, yes. They're actually coming in. I've been kind of grabbing them as they come in. The first one is a good question. What are some tips around working from home?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So me personally, this is actually the first time I've ever worked from home before. And I think the biggest tip is creating a schedule for yourself and essentially sticking to it. Another one as well is like getting dressed for the day as if you were going to the office, because it definitely changes your energy as far as how you're going to approach your day. And then additionally as well is, take breaks, go outside and walk. During my first week, I found myself just staying in my office at home and not necessarily breaking up my day. So just some quick tips that I've kind of picked up on in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, fantastic, Joe. That's great. Miji, do you have anything to add?
I completely agree. I think having a schedule is super important. So, you don't feel like you're just at home all day long, rolling out of your bedroom and then going to your work desk. It still gives you structure and helps you maintain your routine. So I definitely agree with that.
Awesome. Next one is, do you have any suggestions around communication?
Ooh, this is a really good one. We've heard from a lot of our customers as they start transitioning to working from home. It's like, how do I communicate with my team? Because we've never had to do this before. And thankfully for us, we're a tech company, so we kind of knew what tools to use and we had some tips and tricks to share with these customers. I think the first one is have a platform where you guys can message or video chat with one another. So we use Slack for messaging, and we use Zoom, which we're actually using right now for video conferencing. And it's just really great ways for you to still continue to stay connected with your teammates and efficiently pass information back and forth. My other tip would be, in addition to finding the right tools, set a cadence for how often you guys communicate. So if we weren't doing weekly meetings before, set that up just so we have that dedicated time to touch base with the team. For us here at Upkeep, we've been doing stand-ups, which are basically just like 5-minute brief meetings every single day. So it's an opportunity for us to see each other's faces. We don't have to talk about work, but it really keeps the morale high and ensures that we're still interacting with one another almost as if we would if we were in the office.
Love it. Thanks, Miji. Anything to add, Joe?
Yeah, I think utilizing those tools to communicate, but I think the key thing is over communicating, right? Is, just communicating with each other on everything. Also to just putting in documentation around those things that you guys might be communicating about as well. I think the communication piece is like huge. And again, just over communicate.
Agreed. Yeah, that's certainly been the case with Upkeep. They've done a beautiful job of over communicating with us, and it's been really helpful to keep everybody focused too. The last question, a lot of people have been coming in and asking this, just have we seen any trends as far as our customers are concerned regarding how they're prepping for the upturn?
Yeah. So, sorry, Miji. So, some trends that we're seeing, Upkeep has a wide variety of different customers that use the platform, right? So what we have seen is those that are directly impacted by COVID, in the world of like the hospitalities and nonprofits, we've definitely seen a slowdown in activities in that side. On the flip side of that, we have companies that are like food manufacturing and hospitals and all of those, and it's almost the complete opposite, right? So for the ones that are experiencing more downtime, what we are seeing is trends on focusing on preventative maintenance activities, and those that essentially are actually experiencing a higher velocity of work, it's again more reactive. Right. So it's kind of two sides of the spectrum. And again, a lot of the insights that we provided today were ones that we essentially gathered from our customers that are actively going through this right now.
Great. Miji, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Joe just said. Definitely some trends that we've been seeing. We've also seen an influx of people reaching out in regards to help with creating checklists for their account. So these are things like procedures and tasks that can live inside of a work order. And, for a lot of them, we've never had to create checklists for sanitation best practices, right? Or cleaning, and what does that look like? So I definitely see a lot of people updating their procedures as well and just implementing the necessary to-dos into their day-to-day.
Awesome, great. Well, we're about out of time. Thank you so much. That ends our presentation for today. Thank you, Joe and Miji, for all of these valuable tips. Thank you, folks, for joining us today. We certainly hope this presentation lifted your spirits and also gave you a to-do list a mile long. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.